Hey, after Akronites, welcome once again to Around Akron with Blue Green. On this episode, I'm going to meet up with one of the voices of PBS Western Reserve. I'm going to head over to the Community Tool Library. Then I'm going to head over to Highland Square and check out Gypsy Grace and the Vintage Goat. Now to kick this show off today, I'm going to head over to Summit Art Space to learn all about the recycled glass artwork of Jennifer L Worden. Let's go see what that recycled glass is all about.
I remember as a teenager, we didn't have cable or anything like that, so I watched a lot of PBS. And I remember watching a Dale Chihuly special on PBS, and I can't remember which one it was, but I was just like mesmerized. I'm like, oh, that's so pretty and the shiny, and I loved glass after that. My pieces most of them are freestanding, just whimsical little shaped trees and cactus. They can be standalone or be grouped together. I make jewelry. Most of the jewelry pieces it's the recycled glass. It's torch worked onto copper or brass. I do some wall pieces, lots of shadow boxes with the trees and other pieces mounted in there. And some other wired glass work into the frames as well. I do all my own woodworking, and I enjoy doing that and making my own shapes. So I didn't actually start working with glass until about 2000. Once I got married and my husband and I got a house, I was really into stained glass mosaics, and I mosaicked everything, every surface I could come across. And my husband's like, you need to stop. And I'm like, well, you need to let me buy a glass kiln, because he was afraid that I would burn the house down. And so I ended up buying just a tiny little test kiln, started working with commercial glass, made these huge weighty necklaces and jewelry pieces that would give you cricks in your neck from wearing them. But they were cool, I liked them, and I did that for a few years. And then my friend, who does not have a crafty or artsy bone in her body, had a blue Riesling wine bottle. She's like, this is glass, why can't you just use this? And that was like the light bulb in my head, like, oh yeah, why can't I use that? So that kind of put me on my journey of using the recycled glass and seeing what I could do with it. They started out as very basic, rough shapes. It's almost kind of embarrassing to look back at the beginnings to see what I was making and see to where I am now. A lot of times I'm just pushing it to see what I can get the glass to do. The cactus came about because I bought a bunch of succulents and I watered them to death, and I'm like, well, let's see if we can make some cactus that you don't have to actually water. You just have to dust them every now and again. And those, I really enjoy making those, especially in non-normal colors, because you're not going to find a pink or a purple cactus anywhere. So I enjoy making them in untypical colors. And some of the other things, like the birds, somebody asked me, is like, can you make a bird? I like mid-century modern shapes, and I like your trees. Could you do something in that sort of realm? I'm like, I'll give it a try and we'll see. And one mold was very much not successful, and I had one that was successful. I'm like, well, this is a keeper then. I make all my molds out of ceramic clay. I just get like a really low fire clay, just like potters use. So I create the molds, I carve, shape, and then I do an initial firing just to harden it so then it's no longer the soft clay. And then when I'm using it to make my pieces, I put coating in it that keeps the glass from sticking to the clay, because otherwise it would stick. That's what glaze that potters use is basically just super fine powdered glass that's in the liquid form. So I put the coating in, the resist coating, Then I put the little pieces of glass that I've cut up, and then that goes in my kiln, and then when it melts, it takes on that general form. But even two pieces that come out of the same mold don't ever look the same, just because the glass reacts differently with the temperature, what other things are in the kiln at the time, the color of the glass. So every piece truly is unique. I have my public studio at Summit Art Space. I've been in the building for 4.5 years now, and I just moved up into a larger studio up on the 3rd floor of the building. So Summit Art Space, due to the pandemic and the increasing numbers in Summit County, has decided to close its normal public hours when all the studios would normally be open. Many of us studio artists are staying open and just taking appointments to make it a little safer for people. So anybody that wants to come in, visit, shop, can contact me through social media to set up a day and a time to come in and check out my studio.
Next, I'm going to sit down with the voice of PBS Western Reserve, Chad Jenson. Not only is he the voice of PBS, you've heard him on local radio, I guarantee that. And he's an amazing musician. Let's go see what Chad Jenson's all about.
We used to have what was called record day. It was code for cleaning the house, and Dad would put records on. So just having that going and just hearing this music, it really struck me. I really took to it. So then it was about collecting and hearing it, and then, Kiss was a big influence. Pink Floyd, grew up on listening to Pink Floyd. Actually, I think I went to a concert in my mom's womb. I went to Three River Stadium a couple months before I was born for the Dark Side of the Moon tour. So I started to compile my work. It falls under different banners. I've got an experimental auditory editing kind of thing where I take other people's songs and recreate new ones called Pig Pink. I've got Battle Cat, the War Toys, things that I've done under Chad Jenson, whatever. And so I started to compile it all, get it all together, and it just kept growing. And I'm like, wow, I've accumulated quite a bit. It was something like 273 tracks across 14 discs. I've never released my music proper, packaged, sent out to the world, anything like that. I've never done that. I don't have maybe a track here and there on a comp from Jib Machine, but 2021, if it wasn't for Corona, we'd have it now, but 2021, the War Toys album is supposed to come out on Jib Machine Records, and I'm very excited to have something exist in the real world, to have something to give to all the music that exists. And I've been working on it all my life. I've been making music, but it's completed and set aside, given to a few friends like yourself, or ends up in a drawer, in an archive, not being really heard other than by me and a few select others. So it's an exciting prospect to actually have an album to put out and give to the world, and just to add my 2 cents to the world of music. It's exciting to have a product that exists. I was a prep cook in a kitchen, and I had been for years in various jobs, working at a bowling alley, doing construction with my brother-in-law. There's really no direction. And then this kitchen let me go, and I just did not know what to do. I knew something had to happen. And so in talking with my wife, she asked, what would you even possibly want to do? And for some reason I said radio. I didn't like radio when I was growing up because, one, they played all the same kind of stuff, I liked the album deep cuts and things, but I decided to go to the Ohio Center for Broadcasting. It was like a trade thing, and it didn't take 4 years to do. So I just started that, and I really took to it. It's almost innate in a way. But like a talent I didn't know I had was editing audio and voice work and things like that. So you go through this program and you don't really know if you're going to get a job, because radio is kind of small. I've heard it said that there's 100 people in radio and 99 jobs. So if you work with somebody ever in radio, chances are you might work with them again down the line. So getting a job in radio, having a career in it, didn't seem very hopeful. But I was top of the class, I was doing pretty well, so I was able to parlay that into a gig. And it wasn't really so much what I'd learned as much as who found me. My buddy Bob Hazlett, who worked at a radio station, found my demo, and mine was pretty good, and they needed a second production guy. He brought me in, and that was the beginning of my radio. That was like my first real job. I mean, so I was just over the moon. And part of that was writing, recording, creating from the ground up radio commercials, and so just the voice work followed naturally from that. I was working at the radio station. They needed a spot done. The Diamonds, the old doo-wop group, was in town, and they needed some sort of concert spot. So it landed to me, and they got it back, and they liked my voice. They said, it's a nice guy voice. Would you want to, maybe start voicing some stuff for us? And I was, of course, sure. I love PBS. It's just, I think it's one of the greatest things that's ever been offered. I just grew up on Sesame Street and Electric Company, and just everything PBS has thrown our way has been excellent, from the Ken Burns stuff. So I'm very proud of my association with PBS. And I've been, I think over 10 years at least, maybe even longer. Maybe 07, I think I want to say. I've been working with them, and it's been a real pleasure. And it's just cool to hear myself on on the TV, and it's PBS, and we love public broadcasting. Well, there's a radio station in Wadsworth, the 97.1 Wadsworth Community Radio, and I had caught it one day, and they had this Pink Floyd show on, and I thought, wow, that's fantastic. I wonder if they would let me have my own show, because I'm able to create those things at work and all that. And so I worked my way into getting that show. It's called The Mixtape. It's on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. and Friday at 10 p.m. on 97.1. And it was just a chance for me to play music that I like, and I don't think it's stuff that is normally on the radio, which, if you listen to radio, you'll hear some things over and over, whatever. So I like album cuts. I like deep cuts. I like things that are hidden on the album, side B, band 3 kind of stuff. It's like I'm famous, but no one knows who I am. It's just strange to think that, people hear me and they know my voice probably, but, they have no idea who I am. Well, I guess we're going to fix that today, right?
Next up, I'm going to head over to Middlebury to meet up with the Community Tool Library. It's like a library, but for tools. Let's go see what the Community Tool Library is all about.
Tool libraries have been popping up across the United States for probably the last 30 years. It's part of the movement for the sharing economy, and it's part of broadly thinking about, the resources we put into our neighborhoods and that. So we kind of started this particular project to supplement our housing mission. While we try to take a holistic approach, really one of our core approaches is restoring and improving the housing stock that is available here in the Middlebury neighborhood. But the big thing we want to do is create what we're calling a pathway to home ownership, to give the people we're working with a chance to be able to own that home and be part of the neighborhood. So one of the ways we want to support them is through our Community Tool Library program. This not only gives them access to many of the major tools that they're going to need to improve their home, we also do a series of home maintenance classes which are geared to giving them the core skills they need to take care of the home. And that's really kind of ties into our motto, which is educate and equip. So we really are there to supplement and grow that housing mission. We've got just shy of 500 tools available for checkout, and we're getting more all the time. We've got everything from your basic wheelbarrows and shovels to more complex things like table saws and reciprocating saws and circular saws and drills. We've got the different type of ladders you would need for various projects, ranging up to 20 feet. We've got what we call baker scaffolding, which is perfect particularly if you're working on the side of your house, on the roof. We have certain specialty equipment, plex tools, which are specifically used for plumbing and that. The basics, we've got hammers and screwdrivers. We actually just picked up a professional quality drain snake for the tool library as well. So we really tried to build the collection in a way that we had a diverse inventory that can appeal to a wide range of people, tackling a wide range of projects to accommodate whoever may walk in that door. We don't have anything like gas-powered right now, but as we continue to expand the tool library, continue to grow the program, that's kind of the next area to go. We just need to kind of expand some storage right now. And we don't actually rent any of the tools. So how it comes in is you come in, you buy a membership. Right now, the membership is $50 for 1 year, though there are discounts available. And then you're able to check out any tool in here, just like you would a book at the library. You check it out for 1 week, you bring it back. If you turn it late, you get your late fees. But it's there to be that kind of sustainable resource. So once you pay that $50, you're a member and you can access the tools. It also gives you a discount on our home maintenance class series as well. I mean, we've got automotive tools in addition, because we want to help support people with even in their cars. And we also want to be there to advise on what not to do. I mean, there are a lot of projects that you may think you can take on as a homeowner, but we're going to tell you don't do it. You know, we want to direct you to the projects that you can take on yourself and that you can kind of accomplish and do. We hope the tool library is a hub, and it's also worth emphasizing this is a small part of what the Well does overall. We really are trying to take a holistic approach. You know, the tool library falls as part of our housing mission, but it's also here for supporting place, because the Well as a whole focuses on 3 core things: supporting place, restoring housing, and creating economies. And that is really what it's going to take to make the Middlebury neighborhood, which is really a neighborhood that has everything going for it, to be considered one of the prosperous neighborhoods in Akron, for it to actually uplift the people and sustain the people in a way that it doesn't right now. Because it really is an amazing historic neighborhood. It is really where settlement in this area, and if it wasn't for Middlebury being where it was, Akron would not be where it is. Through Timken, Catholic Charities, Dominion, and First Energy, we're able to bring in about $14,000. So that's meant that we were able to buy a lot of tools and build out this space. But we've also received about just shy of, I want to say, $3,000 in tool donations. And we really do take just about everything. So that's shovels, wheelbarrows, some of the power tools are great tool donations. Now, we always say not all of this will go into the tool library. One thing that we're going to be doing is once a year, we're going to be trying to host an annual tool garage sale, where some of the stuff that doesn't go in the tool library but is still usable, still great tools, will go into that to help fund and sustain the project. And that's why we say, like, we want the nicer, newer stuff, but we also want, the odds and ends that Grandpa has left over, because that helps us round out the collection. It helps us to also be able to occasionally give tools to people, particularly homeowners. The physical location is at 221 Beaver Street. During COVID, we're just doing the tool library by appointment only, but you can find all the contact information, everything that you need to know about it at our website at thewellakron.com. You'll see under the program tabs, tool library, home maintenance class, and that'll give you a link to not only our inventory, but to contact me to set up to kind of get in here. And as we go into next year and as we get out of the pandemic, we've got volunteers that are going to help us expand our hours, have more of a presence on Saturday, have more of a presence on Thursday evening, so that people can come in on off work hours, get their tools, hopefully return their tools, and be using the space and be using the service.
Next up, I'm going to go behind the purple door of Gypsy Grace and the Vintage Goat. This is an amazing little shop of all kinds of crazy and cool curiosities. You're going to want to check this place out. Let's go see what Gypsy Grace and the Vintage Goat is all about.
It began because I was teaching in surgical technology for a college, and they closed the program. And I didn't want to go back into surgery. I worked in surgery for 17 years as a surgical assistant, and I didn't want to continue doing that. And we were just driving by one day, and we saw this building, and then I had my son's birthday party, and Joe was over, my business partner, and he pulled up this, on Craigslist or something, this building, and it was for sale. So we contacted the person. Really, our main goal was just to get the building because it's such a unique building. It's 3 stories high and only 17 feet wide. We just put stuff in here from our garages, from wherever we could find. We just packed it with stuff. And we thought, well, we'll just do vintage things. And then the first thing we did was we got a new door and we painted it purple. I don't like purple. I have no idea why I chose that color, but it had to be purple. So we painted the door purple, and then probably 3 years later I realized that I had heard somewhere driving in here that witches have purple doors. I had no idea. And then things just started to shift a little bit, and we didn't push it. We let our customer base decide what we were gonna do. And so now we were selling some sage and then a couple incense, not a lot. We had a couple crystals, a couple candles. We still had a lot of vintage. And then it just slowly became this. We had a customer come in who's a longtime customer. She came in and she said, it's looking very swampy in here. And we liked that. To us, it was like New Orleans. Joe is my ride or die. If I can think it up in my head on how I want something to look or how I want it to be, he is the mastermind behind creating all of our labels, behind building virtually everything in here. He has built himself out of nothing. Even our Gypsy wagon outside, he built that from nothing. Gypsy Grace and the Vintage Goat. My spiritualist grandmother was more gypsy. She was gypsy, and I say spiritualist, but I should just say gypsy. My other grandparents that were Pentecostal evangelists were like gypsies. We traveled and moved so much. So I love the word gypsy, and the gypsy part of my family loves the word gypsy. They embrace it, they love it. We went back and forth with a name, Joe and I, and we liked vintage because we didn't want to say antiques because we don't know antiques. Antiques has a knowledge and a price, neither of which we have. And goat, Joe had a motorcycle he was building and he was calling it Chupacabra, which is goat sucker. So we just went with goat. We struggled on the next word after gypsy, and then Joe suggested Grace because it is my middle name. So it became Gypsy Grace and the Vintage Goat. The back room, we have a little more oddities, wet specimens, things that might scare some people. And so we put it in the back room because when we had like our wet specimen counter down here, people would make it all the way through the shop. They'd get to that and then they almost beelined for the door. So some people were like, it wasn't for them, and that's okay. It's not for everyone. But I tell people that those things that are no longer with us still serve a purpose, and it's better than throwing it out like it's nothing. So a lot of our taxidermy, our wet specimens, we give them names and they become part of us. We like dried flowers, so we like things that most people would throw away. We do want to open up our basement. We have 2 basements, and we would like to open those up. We have a couple things up our sleeve that we're going to do with that. And the back, we do want to open up an Airbnb back there because it is a full apartment with clawfoot tub, and this building was built in 1921, and it holds so much history, and it was actually called the Oak back in the day. We went to the library and used the white gloves and looked it all up. So we do want to put a sign back up on the building that says the Oak. The Oak it's always been some form of a store. We've had a lot of customers, old timers, that have come in and they worked here, or they used to come in, their mom and dad would send them down for a pack of cigarettes and they would get it on store credit. So it's always been some form of a store. It's never been anything other than a store. It's been like a general store, it's been an antique store, like a thrift store, but it's always been a store.
Thank you once again for watching this episode of Around Akron with Blue Green. Now, if you have any questions, comments, just want to drop me an email, you can go to www.aroundakronwithbluegreen.com, or you can catch me on Instagram, you can catch me on Facebook, and you can catch me on TikTok. Thank you, and have an amazing day.